in my setup. Hey friends, my name's Gabrielle and welcome to FrumiousReads, and I have a monthly wrap-up video, which I haven't done in a while, but I'm excited because this month I actually read a decent amount of books. I want to talk about this because most of you who have watched my videos for a while, you know my opinion on a certain book series. And I found out why I didn't like the first book of the series. And the reason is that I didn't like the main love interest in the first book of the series, and I could not stand him at all. And that he basically ruined me for that book because I thought he was just such a terrible character. Come to find out that the second book is a lot better because he's not in it as much, which is fantastic. And if you haven't guessed what series I'm talking about yet, it is the A Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. So yes, I have been converted. And everyone rejoice if that's your thing, or if you've been cheering me on because I didn't like the series at first, then I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I actually really enjoy the series. I read A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Wings and Ruin, and I have to say that it was so much better than I originally thought, because the main love interest from the first book was no longer relevant. Basically, I love this series now, and I wanted to get it right off the bat because I know that people have been like, I thought you hated that series. Why have you been talking about that series? Why did you take that quiz to find out what court you are? Well, it's because I found out the reason why I didn't like it in the first place, and now I love it. So, the other book that I read in July was My Life with the Walter Boys by Ali Novak. So, this book is about Jackie, who is orphaned by her parents, and when she's forced to live with a person who her parents have appointed her caretaker, and that is the Walter family, and they happen to have 12 sons. And it's just kind of her life with them, and obviously there's a love story. It was an okay book. It's good if you are interested in love stories of a different kind, so I'll say that. The next book I read was Things I Should Have Known by Claire Lazebnik. This is about Chloe and her relationship with her younger sister Ivy, who happens to be someone on the autistic spectrum, and how Chloe is basically trying to have Ivy make friends with other people and be in a relationship, basically, just so that when Chloe goes off to college, she'll know that Ivy isn't home alone and stuck with her stepfather, who neither of them really like at the moment. And you think that's it? No, those were just the books I read on the Kindle. These are all the books that I read in like physical copies. The first one I want to talk about was one of the ones I got for Outcrate, and that is The Sandcastle Empire by Kayla Olson. Honestly, I guess I can try and explain what it's about because I read it and I still don't really know. Basically, there is a war where people who lived on the poverty line or below kind of rise up and take over the government and force all people who were considered to be rich, I guess, to become slaves in a way and live in camps and do all of like the really hard back-breaking work that they were used to be doing. And that's all I got. This book, I feel like it had the potential to be good. It was definitely an interesting take on like a post-dystopian society where the world has technically ended, but they're starting to come back and rebuild. So overall, this book was really disappointing, but luckily for me, Outcrate sent 2 books last month, so I got to read New World Rising. And New World Rising is by Jennifer Wilson, and it is amazing. It is everything that the Sandcastle Empire wanted to be, but isn't. So this book is so good. Basically, there's people who live inside the walls and people who live outside the walls. And inside the walls are like the remnants of society. They live by very strict rules, and you can only do certain things and be certain people, and everything's kind of predetermined for you. Outside the walls, everyone runs in clans, and basically it's just kind of like a slaughterhouse outside. Like if you're not with a clan, you're fair game. The main character is Phoenix, who ends up finding a way to survive outside the walls and without joining a tribe, and it's all told from her perspective, and it's really good. Like, it's really, really good. I love this book. I can't wait for the next book to come out. If you guys haven't read this book, you definitely need to. It was probably one of my favorite books that I read this month. The next book I read is one that I've been going on and on about all over Twitter and Tumblr, and if you guys haven't heard me talk about it yet, then let me tell you about it right now. Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. This book is fantastic. I don't know why it took me so long to read this book, because I was trying to find it for such a long time. It's basically Lord of the Flies, but instead of guys, it is a bunch of beauty queens. It takes the Lord of the Flies, like this is what would happen in society if you're trapped on a desert island, and completely switches it with these young girls who not only survive, but they start thriving on the island, and it's got this whole other subplot that's actually completely awesome and unexpected. I was not expecting it at all. This book just has everything you could ever want in it as a reader, so this is another favorite of mine that you guys should definitely read. The last book I'm going to talk about is one that I actually did an interview with the author for. If you guys haven't seen that, you definitely should. Me and Matthew Wolf played the Infinity Book Challenge, and it was really fun, so you guys should check that out in the description down below. The last book that I read this month, The Knife's Edge by Matthew Wolf, and it is book 1 of the Ronin saga. This is a fantasy epic. It follows a young man named Gray who kind of struggles to understand his past and why he's been chosen to fulfill a prophecy and what that means for his life. And he's kind of mentored by these what are called the Ronin, who have these elemental powers. If you guys liked the Lord of the Rings or the Wheel of Time series, then you guys will definitely love this book. It is probably one of like the most fleshed out fantasy epics that I've read in a long time. It took me a little bit to get into. There is a lot of backstory and a lot of characters, so if that kind of isn't your thing, then just be prepared. But once you get into it, it's really worth it because you really go to actually see this world and feel like you're in the setting of these characters, and the action is very non-stop, so it's always it's a very entertaining read. Man, my voice is going because I have been talking so much today. So that was my July wrap up. Let me know what you guys read this month in the comments down below and what you thought of this video. Are there any books that you would like to read? Are there any books that you have read and have thoughts on? Please let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. So if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, then you definitely should, because I upload bookish videos every Monday and Wednesday, as well as reaction videos whenever something cool comes out that I want to react to. But for now, that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.